What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Day and I am a security engineer on the detection and research team at Datadog. Also, if you're new to the channel, thanks for clicking on this video. First and foremost, do not be intimidated by the hat. I don't normally dress like this, but I'm feeling extra Texan today. I recently became a citizen of the great country of the United States, and so I've been super patriotic, I guess, feeling a lot more American, a lot more Southern, and a lot more Texan. So I'm really feeling this cowboy vibe. So wearing this cowboy hat, yeah, makes me feel good about myself, actually. Anyways, though, like I said, news. I recently became a citizen. I'm originally from the beautiful, amazing country of Nigeria. Was born and raised there, and now I am a citizen of the great country of America. But yeah, don't let the hat fool you. I'm just feeling a little extra today. So this video is going to be about my 3-year journey into the world of cybersecurity. I decided to make this video because I was thinking about it recently, and I was like, I haven't actually done an update about, what my journey looks like. And I realized that about a couple of days ago, I clocked 3 years in this industry, which is September 14th. So September 14th every year is a day of celebration because that was the day I got my very first cybersecurity job 3 years ago. And I was like, reading some comments on my recent videos or some of my old videos, and people were asking me, how did you do it? Like, did you get an internship? Did you start working like when you were 18? Because right now I am 21 and I've been in the industry about 3 years. So I think it kind of confuses some people. So I wanted to really reiterate my story again. I haven't done this in quite a while. I haven't really shared my journey in quite a while. So 3 years is quite the mark to do it. So let's just get right into it. So real quick disclaimer here. So this story I'm going to share with you, or my journey I'm going to share with you, is going to have a lot of tangents, partly because of the way I express myself and the way I tell stories, but most importantly, because I want to drive a point home, which is if you want something, just go after it and earn your seat at the table. That's really it. That's the whole point of the story. Let's get right into it. And starting from my background, like I said, I was born and raised in the beautiful country of Nigeria. I moved here when I was 14, which is back in the year 2016, and I started my high school experience here as an 11th grader. So about 15 years old in 11th grade, and I happened to join a cybersecurity club that a teacher we had at our school was running. She had apparently had a grant from the government to teach the Cisco CyberOps curriculum, and with this curriculum, she started a club. So for anyone who was interested in the world of cybersecurity, we were invited to join the club. This was very new to me. I was curious back then, 15-year-old, really curious. So I joined this club alongside a robotics club. I really was quite the nerd then. Still am a nerd right now, but I joined the cybersecurity club and then the robotics club and had a great time. I was learning a lot about cybersecurity, about all this cool stuff. It really sparked my interest in this whole technology and cybersecurity thing. But unfortunately, like they say, all good things must come to an end. Not really, but this good thing had to come to an end as I had to move from Virginia to Texas. And as you can tell, I'm feeling really Texan today with my cowboy hat. Anyways, so I moved to Texas, so I no longer was able to sort of participate in this cybersecurity club. My new high school, didn't have like something like that. So passion, that spark just got lost. It was there, but it was very dim. That light was very dim. So I went through high school, finished my high school in 2018, graduated at the age of 16, very young, and did not know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. So I had forgotten about cybersecurity, so I didn't know what to do. Plus, I didn't have money for college. I don't come from, a rich family or anything, right? I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. But I wasn't going to go waste money I didn't have in a 4-year institution, taking a college degree that I didn't know what was going to get me. So I took a gap year. I had the luxury of being young and not knowing what to do, and a gap year was right for me. So in this gap year, my goal was to work and save money for the first couple of years for a community college degree, as well as figure out what I wanted to do. So I got back into searching. So I was searching for what I actually like to do, what I was actually interested in. So I started with coding. That's the most popular thing out there, right? The most accessible thing out there. You learn how to code, programming. So, I did all the Code Academy stuff, the YouTube stuff, tried different things, but nothing really worked for me. Hey guys, real quick, sorry for interrupting the video. I know you were enjoying the story there, but I wanted to quickly ask you a very important question. So here's the thing. As cybersecurity professionals, we focus a lot more on learning or testing the new advanced exploitation technique or figuring out what the new advanced detection mechanism is. But how much focus do you actually put into your personal security? Have you ever Googled yourself to see what personal information of yours was publicly exposed on a public listing site? Well, I did. I did a little bit of OSINT for a friend, and we were more than shocked to see what came up about them. Look, the problem is, with the continuous evolution of technology these days and personal data being required for almost everything, data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and several other people who want to get information about you, like where you live. And as a cybersecurity professional, you should know that this is really bad OPSEC. Aura, the sponsor of today's video, can help you identify data brokers exposing your information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. What you might not realize is that these brokers are legally required to remove your info if you ask them, but they make it super hard for you to do. So let Aura handle that for you. Aura also does much more to protect not just you, but also your family from online threats that you can't see. It's really easy to set up, so you don't have to download several different apps for things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and more. You get every single thing at one affordable price. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so that you can focus on more important tasks like building your cybersecurity career with peace of mind. So with all these things I've told you now, you can either let all these people to continue to profit off of your private information, or you can go to aura.com/daycyberwox to start with a 2-week free trial linked in the description below. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring this portion of the video, and now let me let you get back into the story. I just couldn't wrap my head around it, and I think it might be a problem with a lot of beginners who are trying to learn how to code. I think it's common. You're not able to wrap your head around it. So that was me. That was my defeat with coding. But I will learn how to code, and you guys will be there when I testify about me learning how to code. I am learning how to code, and I'll figure it out eventually. It didn't work out. I knew that becoming a software engineer or a programmer, or whatever the case is, was not for me. So that was gone. Those hopes and dreams died at Code Academy. So I went on to the next thing. The next thing I tried was networking. So at my church, there was this really benevolent man, and he had access to this connection who was a Cisco instructor. He was this cybersecurity networking guru who, owned his own networking administration engineering firm, and he was willing to give us free slots from our church to train us on this whole Cisco and networking thing. So I went for that class. I enjoyed it, and it actually did spark an interest in networking for me, but I knew I didn't want to become a network administrator. I knew I didn't want to become a network engineer. It just didn't spark my interest. It wasn't enough for me, right? I knew I wanted something more. So at this point, I kind of really given up. I was like, you know what? I probably would just go to, community college and just do software engineering or computer science and, figure it out from there. At least I know I want to do something tech related, but I didn't know what it was. But somewhere around this time, we're talking about 2018/early 2019, I started becoming a lot more enthusiastic about privacy. I used to watch like a bunch of videos about privacy. At this point, I would actually read privacy policies, like those long documents that you scroll over and never read. I would read them because I started becoming more concerned about this stuff. It was just like a weird temporary passion of mine back then. I feel like I might pursue it more later in my future, but back then it was just really, a fleeting moment of affection for this new concept I was interested in. So I really started getting deep into it, started messing with using trying to learn about the dark web, Tor, all that stuff, really get into some really deep stuff, and try to learn about Linux. I remember dual booting my laptop, breaking it, actually literally breaking my laptop, but figuring it out eventually, messing with the CLI. I stumbled on some, cybersecurity YouTubers, John Hammond, Network Chuck, Hackersploit. I really started getting deep into the cybersecurity thing, and again, the spark lit, or the spark started to get some oxygen and fire up in me about cybersecurity again. I was like, I think this is really what I want to do. So this was getting towards the end of my gap year. I saved up some money, and I knew I was ready to go to school. At this time, I was 17 years old, and I was like, you know what? Time to go to college. Gap year is over. I have enough money to pay for first semester, second semester, survive, because I was broke. So I decided to go to a local community college that was offering a pretty good cybersecurity program, majoring in cybersecurity, and started my first semester. First semester, of course, you're taking your general education classes, all of those things. But in my first semester, in the first 8 weeks, I took my first, cybersecurity networking class. And it was a Network Plus class. It was supposed to prepare us for Network Plus. And I actually wouldn't eventually take that exam until a year later, which I'll talk about later on in the video. However, this class was an 8-week class. It was the most brutal time of my life. Let me explain. So I would wake up at 6, or actually I would have been up the whole night. But let's say I would wake up at 6, I would have to leave home at 7, get to an 8 a.m. class, an hour away, do the class, or 2 classes, till midday, drive 30 minutes to another campus. After that class, drive an hour back home with traffic, maybe manage to take a 30-minute nap, then drive another hour to work a night shift. I was working about 36 hours a week. So by the time I'm done with work, it's midnight and I get back home. I have homework to do, papers to write, all those things to study, and I'm up till like 4 a.m. I sleep for 2 hours. Yeah, it was brutal. It was a crazy time. This was freshman year of college. I was living on pizza and Monster. Anyone who knows me knows that back then I was a Monster freak. I would drink. I had packs of Monster energy drink in my room because I was like, I need this every day, so I might as well get it in bulk. But yeah, Little Caesars pizza, the best pizza in the world because it got me through this tough time in life. That was what I'm surviving on. So what made this Network Plus class brutal, we're getting back into the story, took a bit of a tangent there, was the fact that on Friday, same situation. So I'm exhausted from the week. Now I have to have an 8-hour class on Saturday from 8 a.m. It's crazy. Having an 8 a.m. class on Saturday is crazy. As a freshman, what's crazy? 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every Saturday for 8 weeks. If you couldn't tell, I didn't learn anything in that class. It didn't work. Right? This was supposed to be like my first introduction into like networking and all that. It didn't work. So yeah, that was that about the Network Plus class, and all my hopes and dreams about Network Plus died at the end of that class. Also, I'm going to take this A+ class, which will come back later on in the video in my story. But this was supposed to be an introduction to IT class that was supposed to prepare us for the A+, and I believe the IT fundamentals. I didn't get this right, but I passed the class, did very well in the class, but I thought it was supposed to prepare us for the A+, but it was actually preparing us for the ITF+, which is also another CompTIA exam. And yeah, oh boy, I was so wrong. But that happened. First semester gone, not really great. This whole cybersecurity major thing is not going well, but I persist into second semester. So now we're going into 2020, right? So this IT fundamentals class, I thought it was supposed to prepare me for the A+. So early 2020, I attempted the A+ and failed horribly because I was underprepared, used the wrong resource, and I just kind of gave up on those dreams of getting that certification. And I just continued on with my normal college classes. So second semester, freshman year, I happened to take this CCNA class, and this was a lot better. It was very well spread out. It was about 16 weeks, the whole semester, and it was with a really great teacher. He was very, very good at teaching. She made sure like everyone, understood the concepts, and it was a practical class. We had to actually configure switches and routers. So I actually did enjoy this class. It actually re-sparked my interest in networking, and I did very well in this class. I think right now she's like a lead in the engineering and cloud or networking and cloud department for the college. So it goes to show how good she really was, especially at the concepts and also really at teaching. I didn't really attempt to take the CCNA. I thought I was going to take it later on, but I was like, you know what, let me go back into trying this whole Network Plus thing. And this was the start of my journey. Now, before going for Network Plus, remember, I failed the A+, my first attempt. I knew right now I was almost done with my first semester of college, and I really wanted to start getting some cybersecurity experience, right? I'd gone through school. I was like, okay, this is great, but I don't want to wait till after 4 years to start building experience. So how do I approach this? Well, certifications and some work experience. So before actually taking certifications, I started my application journey for various entry-level IT support roles. I was like, you know what, anything that just gets my foot in, start doing some support, just learning how this whole tech IT thing works and build experience from there. At the same time, I was like, you know what, let me retry this A+. And this was because I went to the amazing site of Reddit, the home of everything you're looking for. And of course, you would see these subreddits where people share their journey and the experience, how they got into IT. And they talk about how the A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus is like the trifecta. It's like gives you all the foundations, the fundamentals, and that should be able to get you in. That might have been true in 2020, but it wasn't really true. It was just enough to get you started. It's not really true. It's enough to get you started. You're gonna need a lot more than that. Either ways, I started applying for these jobs, and at the same time, I was like, you know what? Let me go back into studying for the A+. This time, I will actually use the right resource. This was also the time when I started making YouTube videos. So it took me a couple of weeks for each core of the A+ exam, the core 1 and core 2, and I passed it within about 2 months. Now, this is when I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should be able to get an IT support job. But after 150 applications, I did not get a single IT support job. I got a couple of interviews here and there, but I didn't get anything. At the same time, while I was applying for these IT support jobs, I also started studying for the Network Plus. Like, you know what? Might as well just keep going. And I also changed my strategy as well. I said, let me start applying for cybersecurity internships. Remember, I'm still a freshman right now. I really still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring out one way or another. Does anyone really know what they're doing? I started applying for internships. In all, I had applied for 150 positions between IT support roles and internships. I ended up getting about 5 interviews and only 1 offer, which was my very first cybersecurity internship role. At this point, I was about pretty much done with the Network Plus when I got the interview for this role. When the HR manager and the recruiter were talking to me, I knew this is what I wanted. I was like, if I don't have to go the tech support or IT support route, not to beat on those roles, it would be great if I could get my start as a cybersecurity analyst, intern, and build my experience from there. I didn't know where it was going to take me, but having my very first role as a cybersecurity intern, I knew was going to do amazing things for my career if I knew how to leverage that experience. So I was really keen on getting this role. So I did everything it took. I learned a lot of things. I reached out to my mentors at the time. One of them who you might know, who is Tech Show Chatter on YouTube. Definitely check out his videos. And they really helped me figure out how to prepare for this interview. So I took everything I had, all the knowledge, all the interview questions, put them in papers. I would stand in front of a mirror. I would practice these questions, make sure I understood them, make sure I was confident, because this was my first opportunity to make an impression on the hiring manager and make them feel like I was the right person for this internship. I remember the day of the interview, I was kitted up, had a suit on, a blue suit. I remember that suit so vividly. Wore a white shirt with a red tie. I was ready to crush this thing. I didn't even sit down because I was like, I want to feel like I'm standing, I'm confident, because I was really nervous, but I wanted everything to go right. I remember I was in a dining room of my the apartment I was living in back then. So funny. But got an interview and it was 3 people. I didn't know it was going to be a panel, but it turned out to be a panel. But I actually did very well in this interview. I surprised myself, but there were some questions I was not able to answer properly, and that really bummed me out. So what did I do? I did research on the questions and I sent follow-up emails to each and every individual that interviewed me with my research on what I'd found about the answers to the questions that they had asked me that I didn't figure out. And that really set me apart beyond, how I did in the interview. And I ended up getting the offer for this interview. Now, bear in mind, this was the end of freshman year. I'd gotten my A+, gotten my Network Plus, and I started to study for my Security Plus. So a lot of things happening back to back. At this time, this was like the beginning of my self-learning journey. And I remember very vividly, since the summer of 2020 up until very recently, there's almost been not a single day that I haven't studied. From that moment on, it became a long-term life learning journey of learning something new. It's sort of a habit now. Like it's foreign to me if I don't learn something new every day. Whether that's like for my job or just in life in general. Like if I'm reading a book or I'm watching an educational video, I'm learning something new every day. Taking a certification, learning something new every day. It makes a lot of difference in really building a strong foundation for a cybersecurity career. It did for me, at least. Started this internship, super excited. I was learning a lot of things that I wasn't familiar with. I remember the first day I got a book from the engineer I was working with, who I was shadowing, and it was like, you mentioned that you were studying for the Security Plus, which I was at the time because I just passed the Network Plus. So he gave me this book. He gifted me this book, and I still have it. It's the Security Plus Get Certified, Get Ahead book for the SY0501 for quite a while now. And he was like, just read that book and you'll be good. It's everything you need for the Security Plus. And I took his advice. I read that book, took a couple of Udemy courses, watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I passed the Security Plus exam on my first attempt. At this point in time, I was also making my first couple of YouTube videos, and those videos happen to be my most watched videos, which is crazy. I'll put clips of some of them over the video as we go along in the story. But the internship was going very well. I was learning a lot of things. Got my first introduction to, security, learned about business email compromise, phishing, analyzing exchange artifacts, analyzing for like suspicious email forwarding rules, analyzing email headers, analyzing malicious file hashes, analyzing malicious files, like a little bit of malware analysis, a little bit of Azure security, like containing users' devices if I thought like it was compromised, stuff like that. And it took a certain level of work to get to a point where they actually trusted me to be autonomous and sort of work on my own and figure things out on my own. But I think I was able to prove myself in a couple of months, and they really entrusted a lot more responsibility as I kept on going with me, because they saw that I was really keen on studying, learning new things, and I was just really big on just like consuming information, and I was just learning a lot. Somewhere along the line, I got this crazy idea. It's crazy, right? So at this point, I'm a sophomore in college. I have about 3-4 months of experience in this internship. I'm like, well, this internship is a 6-month offer, so I'll be done sometime in March, April. I don't want to be caught lacking the summer. So I know that summer internships start their applications in the winter of the previous year. This part is about you doing your research. So I did my research. I was like, summer internships start applications in the winter. So if I want to get a summer internship, I need to start applying for jobs in the winter because that's when they do their applications. So did that. Started applying for jobs, started applying for internships. Specifically, I got a couple of interviews here and there, and I did pretty well. Like I got a lot of final stage interviews, but nothing came through. Nothing came through. As a matter of fact, I did get one, and the only reason why they didn't end up hiring me was because I was in a community college. I kind of felt was wrong. I think it's wrong. You might have your policies about like, hiring and stuff like that, but I think that limits the diversity of your talent pipeline. But for any companies out there who are looking for good cybersecurity talent, especially with internships, if you're limiting your internship opportunities just bachelor's programs and not students community colleges, I think there's a bit of a problem with your hiring pipelines. I want to take, but I did get the offer. The hiring manager was ready to give me the offer, but HR said, because I'm not in a 4-year institution, no bueno. I didn't get that offer. Either ways, I got this crazy idea. I was like, what if, right? What if I actually start working full-time after my internship? I know, it's crazy, right? I just got it started. What do I know? What do I know? Really, what do I know, right? Even 3 years in now, what do I know? But I was like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll apply. So I started applying for entry-level SOC analyst positions. Now this time, I was like, okay, I want to get into this SOC analyst stuff, whatever this thing is. I've been learning more, doing more research. I was like, this might be a good way to get into the industry. I actually do enjoy the defensive stuff, especially since that was where I started my career in my internship. What if I could take this a bit further? Start learning how to use SIMs, EDRs, stuff like that. Start applying these like hunting skills I've been learning in my internship to actually do things in SOC. So I started applying for full-time positions, and crazy enough, I got interviews. So wrong resume, I guess, certifications maybe, I don't know, but I got interviews, and I got an interview for my very first full-time role. Now I was like, that's crazy. First and foremost, like I got an interview, like, you know what, I gotta crush this. So same thing as always, make sure I was prepared, look at the position, what I needed to learn in my fundamentals. I was doing a lot of labs at this time. Like I was doing a whole lot of labs, just really trying to build my skill, expand my skill set, and just really learn the essence of this industry, as well as like the roles I was trying to apply for, which in this case was a SOC analyst role. And this is very important. Very early in my career, I knew how to study and build my skills for the roles I wanted. And that's going to be important for my current role. Stay with me. So I took this interview, and I had an interview with the hiring manager, and went very well. I actually surprised myself with how well I did with the interview, especially given the fact that I was very new to the industry. So the craziest thing happened. It happened at about 5 months of experience, or 4 months of experience in my internship. I got my very first full-time offer for a SOC analyst 1 position. Now, I know some people out there who have different experiences are like, that's all right, the SOC analyst 1. But look, I was a junior in college. Like I had just gotten into this thing. I was having sleepless nights for cybersecurity. Right? I'm not saying you should, but I was so really passionate about this thing that I was like really trying to figure out everything I didn't understand, build my skill, and put myself in positions that I wanted to be in, made sure that I earned those places I want to be in. So I got the position, and crazy as it sounds, in April of 2021, I started my first role as a tier 1 SOC analyst. Now this definitely like changed everything for me. I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Yes, I do. And again, still grinding, studying, but very quickly, right? I don't mean to toot my horn here, but very quickly I realized that where I was might have been stunting my progress. I wasn't learning much. I learned a lot of things really fast, picked up a lot of things really fast. I would say for a while I wasn't confident about my skills and everything, but over time I became more confident, and I realized, okay, I kind of have gotten a hang of this thing, but I felt like I wasn't really learning what I wanted to learn and building the skills I want to learn. And I think this might be a bit common with some people in certain SOC environments. It might be stunting your growth. So here's what I did. I started looking again. That's crazy. It was about 3 or 4 months in. I know I'm very new, but I needed to find somewhere that I could build my skills in. I didn't want to be in a place that was going to stop my growth. So I started applying. At this point, I've been under the mentorship of someone who you might know. His name is Andre. I know him as Tech Tool Chatter on YouTube. Definitely go check out his channel. Amazing guy, has a great podcast. Definitely check him out. And he had been sort of like mentoring me as well. I also had a mentor earlier on. His name was JR. Is JR. Shout out to you, JR. And they had been giving me sort of guidance. So Henry was working at my last role, and Henry had really seen like everything I was doing. Like I was in a lot. I was really getting after it, to say the least. So there was an upcoming role in Optiv, and referred me for the role, and I got an interview. Now, you know anything about referrals, you would know that you can't interview your referral. So So it's an impartial process. So again, still sophomore year, about to end sophomore year. So I interviewed with this company. Again, I surprisingly did very well. Like, I was surprised myself. I surprisingly did well, but the offer, this is see, when I thought my first role was big money at 19, this was bigger. Really, changed a lot again for me. So at this role, things were a lot faster. I was learning a lot. What I didn't have in my last role, I got it here. I was working for a major Fortune 50 client, very major client, very big environment, lots of tools. Started getting more familiar with Splunk, CrowdStrike, Carbon Black. Actually, no, not Carbon Black. Ton of things. XOR, SOAR, automation stuff. And this really like got me into it. I was like, okay, I'm here now. So I gotta learn this thing. I gotta, really build my skill set here. Because I really was, and I still am passionate about cybersecurity. I think there's a level of importance that your passion plays when you're getting started, because it will really drive you. And this was my passion. This was the only thing I had. Like, cybersecurity was literally the only thing I had. So I put everything into it. And oddly enough, so about 4 months into this role, a senior analyst on our team was like, hey, how do you feel about becoming a senior analyst? I was like, what? Me? Senior analyst? What? Like, I'm just like, I'm a year into this thing. Like, I just started like a couple months ago. And this was huge for me, because I'm like, whoa, like, this is major. Like, I'm working a major client. Like, this is really serious stuff, and they want me to be a senior analyst. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, like, I would be happy to interview for the role. It was an internal role. I'll be happy to interview for the role, and see what it's about. So he told my manager about it. My manager was like, hey, yeah, sure, we'll do an interview for you again, see if your skill sets fit the role, and if you do, so be it. So about 4 months, I believe, into this role, 4 or 5 months into this role, I interviewed again for a senior analyst role. And let's just say this interview was very serious. It was very serious. It was like, not probably, the longest interview I've ever had, like single interview. It was a 2-hour interview. I thought a lot of things about that interview were very unnecessary, I would say. And if my interviewer is watching this video, yeah, I thought a lot of things were very unnecessary, at least from what I know about other senior interviewers who interviewed for that role. But it is what it is. I interviewed for this role, and they were like, okay, we really drilled you. Like, we drilled you, but the only thing you don't have is experience. It's hilarious. They drilled me. I did pretty well, especially with my amount of experience, but this is the only thing you don't have. It's just the experience, the years of experience. And they're like, you need the years of experience, which makes sense. In hindsight, I would say I wouldn't want to be put in a position where I'm working a role that I'm not qualified for, in the sense that I can't succeed in that role. Of course, it will push me to be better, as all of my previous experiences have. Everywhere I found myself in my career, I'm always in a place that I have to really push to, be good at what I do. But I didn't, want to prematurely do that. Especially now that I've recently been promoted, I understand why it's important to be operating at the level that you want to be at long before then, so that when you get into that level, you don't feel pressure to operate at that level. So if you want to be a senior analyst, or like I don't know, whatever it is, make sure that you're already operating at that level for a certain amount of time, so that when you get into that level, it feels like you're supposed to be there, not like, oh, what do I do now? You don't want that. So little tidbit of advice for you guys there. So I didn't eventually get promoted to senior analyst, but I got a level up. So this was when I actually realized that there's levels to this. There's levels to this thing. It's analyst 1, it's analyst 2, there's senior analyst 1, senior analyst 2, and then a principal analyst. So I didn't get promoted to senior 3 analyst, but I got promoted to analyst 2, which was pretty good after about 4 months. So maybe I didn't know what I was doing. I guess so. Now, with this position came a new client I was working with, another Fortune 500 client. Yeah, another big environment. And this is when I started getting my first experience with threat hunting, topic I'm still trying to get better at, by the way, learn more about. And when I got into this role, realized that it was going to be in person. Now, this is my first time ever working in person. My entire career up until this point, we're talking about 2021 right now, from 2019 up until now, has been fully remote, right? Sorry, 2020 up to 2021, fully remote. First internship was remote. My first job was remote. The last level I was as a threat analyst 1 in the same company was remote, but this client wanted us to be in person. So I was like, yeah, I think I could do that. So I started looking for a new job. Of course, I was diligently working my duties as a, new threat analyst 2. Of course, doing very well, especially given that it was a very small team with this new client, and they wanted very specific things for hunting wise. I knew I wanted to move into something different. End of 2021, I got a new interest in cloud security. So I told myself that I going to get into a cloud security role by the end of 2022. And if you remember, if you're an OG subscriber, I made a video about this. I'll put the thumbnail somewhere here on my plans for 2022 and how I plan to get into cloud security by the end of 2022. I believe Q3 was my forecast. But as God will have it, I happen to have opportunities that would get me in there earlier. So I started interviewing with the big boy, the big conglomerate of Amazon Web Services, for a cloud role, obviously an Amazon AWS cloud role. At the same time, I also got the opportunity to start interviewing for a cloud detection engineering role at my current company, Datadog. Now, this was very interesting for me because cloud was very new to me, cloud security was new to me, but I knew that I wanted to get into it, and these opportunities came way earlier than I thought they would come. So my learning process had to really speed up. So at the same time, while I was interviewing with Amazon, I was interviewing with Datadog, and both interviews were going well, or went well eventually. And I was kind of stuck between, do I go work for the biggest cloud provider out there in a more cloud-centric role, or do I go work for Datadog here in a cloud detection or cloud security sort of role? And I was like, you know what? I'll go for Datadog. Shout out to my manager, Jimmy, who will be on the podcast soon. My manager back then, he was the one who took a chance on me and thought that this role would be a good fit for my previous experience as well as what I was looking to do. And it turned out to be. So fast forward to February 2022, I got the offer for Datadog. And honestly, this was probably the most exciting time of my life. I was just about to turn 20 at the time. And this 1 year and 6 month journey had paid off. I was in an engineering role at a major company, going to be learning new things, doing really, really amazing stuff that I can't even believe I'm doing right now. But it was because, someone took a chance on me. But also at the same time, all the hard work that I've been putting kind of accumulated to get me to that point. So I joined Datadog in March of 2022. I was just 20, starting out there. And I must say, it's hilarious now, but I must say, the first couple of months were the most stressful time of my life. I made a video about this. It's my very first engineering role. Right, so I joined as a detection engineer 1. Working at Datadog was my very first engineering role, and I've never been an engineer before. I've been in security, but not an engineering role. I had a lot of things to learn, and I had to learn them. I learned them, in due time. But the great thing was I had a really good support from my manager, my peers, and they really helped me kind of grow into the engineer that I am right now, and are continuously helping me grow to become a better engineer. But I must say, it definitely put me out of my comfort zone. Also, moving from working a night shift to working during the day at no more hours was different. Moving from a model where I'd never had one-on-ones with my manager to discuss my growth, all of that. I started having that, at Datadog, and this was a place where I'd come from being the sole pioneer and sole holder and driver of my career to a place where a lot of factors were driving where my career is going or is gonna go, especially with the one-on-ones with my manager, and just working in a more cohesive environment where everyone sort of has to work together, especially at a product company, changed so much for me. I had to learn a lot about interacting with people. Also had to learn a lot about managing time and work. So as an analyst, you have your shifts. You have your 12-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts or 11-hour shifts, and eyes on glass, right? If you're doing threat hunting, you know when you're supposed to be doing what. But as an engineer, you have tasks and meetings and then free time. So how do you balance that? How do you handle that? So much to learn. I was able to pick up those things, fast and really grow as a detection engineer 1, build my skills, learn a lot, especially with cloud detection, cloud security. Still have a lot to learn, but it built character. A lot of character. So I've been at Datadog now for about 1 year and 6 months, and I recently got promoted. I actually made a video about this. I got promoted to detection engineer 2 after about 1 year and 6 months as a detection engineer 1, and this is my second career promotion, and it was exciting. Like I said, I made a video about this, and I reflect more in that video. But just about 3 years into my career in cybersecurity, I'm sort of you could say a mid-level engineer right now. I'm definitely not senior level. I've got maybe a couple more years to that, but it's kind of crazy, just thinking about it, where I'm at right now, the skills I have, the abilities I have, because beyond just skills, you learn things like communication, having conversations with people you're not familiar with, from teams you're not familiar with, collaboration, working with people to achieve a common goal. It's a lot more to cybersecurity than, pen test and hacking and popping a box. There's a lot more to it. I've been learning a lot about it. But to sum it all up, because this video is getting pretty long, if you've watched the video so far, thank you so much. And comment down below your favorite part of my story. I would appreciate it. Or whatever you've learned from this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps with the channel. But that's been my 3-year journey into cybersecurity. I've learned a lot. I've been through so many things. You know, even over the course of this journey, I took more certifications. I've always been studying. You know, I got my bachelor's degree as well, right? In a span of about less than 3 years. A lot of things have happened. And, you know, I sometimes get these messages where people are like, man, you're so lucky you got first position as an intern. There's no luck in this, right? I think that luck is such an easy word to replace hard work and persistence and a lot of things. Now, I know that people say that, you know, hard work, persistence is not everything, luck plays a part in it. But honestly, I'm trying to think otherwise. I'm trying to think that if this luck thing exists, you make your own luck. I don't really like to use the word luck because I think it just leaves so much to chance. And as someone who plans a lot and, you know, actually goes for what I want and feels like I earn what I have, or I've earned what I have, I don't think there's luck in this. I think there's hard work, persistence, thinking, understanding where you are, understanding the industry you're trying to get into, and really taking charge and control of your own career and what you want. I feel like deep down inside, we all know what we need to do, but we just take the path of least resistance. I'm getting a little bit all philosophical kumbaya here, but stay with me. I think there's a point I'm trying to make here. Over the course of this journey, you know, again, I consider myself somewhat successful in my career so far, even though it's very young, but I feel like we innately have these compasses that guide us and that we know are leading us in the direction that we need to go to, but it's hard to go that direction because we know it's going to be hard. Learning is hard. Connecting with people is hard. Doing things out of your comfort zone is hard, but really that's the path you need to take. And beyond just all of the cybersecurity advice, all of that, I think there's a lot of saturation with that, and I'm responsible for that as well. I make all these advice videos, do this, do that, do the certification, do that certification, take this path, that path. There's no magic bullet for this thing. Learn the fundamentals, understand the industry, build connections, find mentorship, good mentorship, get roles, fit what you want to do. Don't stay in roles that limit your learning, and really just take charge of your own career. If you know what you want, look for how to get it and just go get it. It's that simple. But yeah, that's it. I hope this video has been valuable to anyone who's watched it. Every time I think about my story, I think I myself find a lot of value in telling my story because I feel like it's different, right? I'm 21, about 3 years in the industry, a detection engineer 2 at Datadog, done with my bachelor's degree. I have a couple of certifications here and there, you know, whatever that is worth. But I think that I've surprised myself so far, and I've given myself a level of confidence in myself that I can always draw on. So I know that if I need to do something, I know what I need to do, and I'm gonna go after it. Like right now, what I need to do is get my behind in a chair in front of a computer and learn how to code, because that's gonna be important for the next stage of my career. So if you know what you need to do, just do it. like I said, just do it. It's that simple. But I appreciate you watching, and yeah, let me know what you think down below. Is there anything I said that, you know, was overstated? Was there anything I said that you think was like luck or anything? Maybe I'm actually lucky? Just let me know down in the comments below. But I appreciate you watching, and if you found any value in the video, be sure to subscribe, like the video, comment something nice down below, you know, watch other videos, stuff like that, share it, whatever the case is. Either ways, I appreciate you watching this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.